Hey everyone, today we are going to go over how to handle a rental that has been picked up and returned. So in the service program, the first area that we need to head to is our items currently rented. So along the top toolbar here, we'll select the items rented button. That'll give us a list of rental transactions for customers that are currently renting an asset from us. So we'll go ahead and use invoice number 5 for China Delight as an example here. Go ahead and double click the transaction number, and that will open up the rental transaction. Now, the simplest and most efficient way to handle a return is to head to the far right column. You'll notice there's a big blue button here that says Return All. That's what we're going to use. So right here, we're going to input a return date. And we'll just use today's date, April 11th. And then we'll go ahead and click Return All. Once we click that Return All button, it will ask us whether or not we're sure that we want to return all of the items on the transaction. So it's very possible that a customer is renting multiple items from you. If you've picked up all of those items, then you absolutely want to use this method and of course select yes on this prompt. If only one item was picked up, instead of putting a return date here and clicking Return All, we would actually head over to the date returned field on the line item and input a date there. When we do that, we'll be given some of the same prompts that were given when we click the Return All button, but instead of returning all items on the transaction, we'll only be returning the item that we selected. So again, we'll go ahead and click Return All. We're going to click Yes on this first prompt. The next question here is, would you like to invoice these items? Now this all depends on how you operate from a billing perspective. If you bill in the arrears, you more than likely are going to want to click Yes because you have not yet billed them for this month's rental. If you prorate, when you click Yes, the system will do the math and generate a prorated invoice for the customer. If you do not prorate, then they'll be charged the full amount. Now, if you bill in advance, you may not want to select Yes on this prompt. That's because they've already been billed for the month. If you do select Yes, then the system will generate a credit. And if you prorate, that credit will be prorated. So it will do the math so that you know how the amount of the credit that needs to be applied to that account. Now, it is important to point out that our system does not have the ability to post a credit from QuickBooks through a rental transaction. So if you bill in advance and you select Yes to this prompt, the system will still generate the credit, but from there you'll have to open up QuickBooks and manually input that credit. We're under the assumption for this example that we bill in the arrears. So I do want to invoice this. I'm going to select Yes. It will also ask me if I'd like to remove the customer from the route schedule. I'm going to select Yes on that prompt as well because right now I have a service on the route schedule for China Delight. We want to remove that because we've picked up the unit. We no longer need to service them. So we'll click Yes. It'll let us know that it's been successful. Now the system will not automatically remove the route stop. It will open up the route schedule and filter it down to the stop for this customer. So as you can see, it opened up China Delight. All we need to do is right-click to the left of the frequency and select Delete Record. That will remove the customer from the route schedule. So now there's two other things that we can take a look at here. The first being if I go to rental info and then select billing and then head over to view pending transactions, we should have a transaction populated within our rental billing transactions batch screen here for an invoice that's ready to be posted over to QuickBooks. Now I prorated this unit, so you'll notice that the rate for the month was $100, but they only had it on rent for 10 days, which is why we have a total charge of $39.29. From here, you could absolutely go ahead and get this posted over to QuickBooks. Or you could wait. It's not going to go anywhere. It will hang out in this batch, and then the next time you run your billing, it'll be included with that batch. If we need to get back to that transaction, you'll notice if I click items rented, we no longer see China Delight here because they're not currently renting any assets from us. It's been returned. We can go to rental info and then select rental inventory transactions. That's going to show us a master list of all transactions we've ever entered into the system, regardless if they're currently on rent or if they've been returned. So you'll see here China Delight is showing up. It was invoice number 5, and it has a return date of April 11th. And again, if you need to get back to that transaction for whatever reason, you can always double-click the transaction number. So that's how you handle a return in the service program.